Repatriation means that someone is being brought back to their own country. I read in the New York Times article, and I think Dr. Hillary mentioned it in her talk at the program, that this is the first time that we have African Americans brought back from Europe and repatriated.
You know, as much as we as a community of Black people, like all over the globe, invoke the honor our ancestors, like these are our ancestors. Like these were people who walked these streets like us. They lived in addresses that we could go see.
130 plus years is a long time to be detached not only from your body, but also from a city that you either adapted or were born into.
Being a part of being responsible for bringing someone home is a tremendous feat of courage.
So I was contacted by Dr. Ryan Gray from UNO, who's an anthropology professor at UNO, about April 2024, and asked if I would lead a committee that would be focused on culturally repatriating individuals from Leipzig, Germany. So when he called me and told me what it was about, I thought that it was quite important. I wanted to be a part of it, and I wanted to to lead this repatriation. At the time, prior to his asking me, I thought maybe I would not get engaged in another project. I had just finished one other one, that I had some book projects that I wanted to do. But after he called me and told me and explained to me what it was about, and that someone had recommended me, I could not look away, meaning that I could not think about doing something else. So I just went head on into this.
Dr. Bayham brought it to me like under real kind of secrecy, right? There's something I want to talk to you about. Can I call you later tonight? And it really had this shroud of confidentiality and whatnot. And I understand why. I know that they were familiar with instances where I think maybe like a graveyard had been, had been uncovered, or kind of a grave out in the east someplace. And once it had been public knowledge that that grave had been found, people went and desecrated it, you know? And so you do realize that these types of topics bring out all kinds of feelings in people.
I didn't quite know what was all involved or how long it would take. But once I did become active in this process, meaning I said yes, and I started attending the meetings, I knew how important it was, and I was willing to continue. As a matter of fact, I think all of us, once we knew the depth, the history, the meaning behind it, what significance it held for not just the African American community here, but throughout the country and the world, because we've heard about instances like this, but we've not always been able to substantiate or prove it with documentation or with actual artifacts or the remains. And here we have a chance to actually receive the remains back and know the history and the in-depth. So we were all in, and I definitely was. And I put so many more hours than expected and anticipated. As a matter of fact, when we first started, we were told to keep a log of the hours. And after a couple of meetings, I knew that there was no way I could document all of the time that I would spend on this project. It's been enormous.
This is a story that has a lot of doors to it. It's like a mansion. It has a lot of doors. And everyone sort of entered into it from a different door. But once they got to talking, many of them, most of them, one might say all of them, shared the same values, which primarily were how to create a ceremony that would give respect and consideration to the 19 people who had died, and at the same time reflect the traditions, the cultural traditions of New Orleans.
What we will be doing is we will form a line here at the back of the hearse. We will place one of the individuals in your hand. Once we place, we're going to let you do a full circle. That is the plan, to do a full circle. You will enter through these double doors into the chapel. We have 2 trays on the bier. You will place, and once we go in, I'll show you exactly how you will place each individual. Do the first reading. We'll proceed with those individuals and then just start the rotation all over again once we're done with all of those readings.
And the life.
When we began, maybe after our second or third meeting, we had the conversation about how to involve Dillard. And we needed Dillard to act as a fiduciary, meaning that any funds that were given to us would come through Dillard. To do that, of course, we needed to speak with Dr. Guillory, called her and talked to her about it. She was on board from the very beginning.
I think it's perfectly appropriate that this is happening at Dillard University. I mean, we do have the Center for Racial Justice. I mean, this is quite in the lane of racial justice, although it's not even so much, I don't think anybody's seeing this as justice, you know, and it's so far removed from the past, but it is something of a kind of a reckoning, of a moment. It's more for us, you know, it's really more so for us to have this opportunity to acknowledge that this happened, that this is a part of our collective history. No matter what side of history you're on, it is a part of our collective history. And for this to be happening at Dillard, for Dillard to have played such a poignant role in this, Dr. Jana Smith, Dr. Eva Bayham, who had been on faculty here but is now retired, I'm really proud that this is a part of Dillard's legacy. We stand here today at a profound moment in the history of our city, this university, this community, and our collective conscience. It is with reverence, solemnity, and hope that Dillard University announces the jazz funeral and memorial service that we will host on Saturday, May 31st, 2025, at Lawless Chapel to honor these 19 souls.
We are not righting the wrong. We can't right the past. But what we are doing is bringing it to the present, and we are honoring these individuals.
As a resident, as a citizen of the United States of America, we have to come to reckoning with our dark past. This is an example of the dark past, but I'm not going to be negative, because I'm going to tell you, in the midst of that dark past is a very, very bright future for our community.
We have a 300-year history of providing care to this community through Charity Hospital. And while we're now known as University Medical Center, our history is Charity Hospital. And we have always served this community, and specifically the underserved.
I think that it will bring recognition and attention to Dillard nationwide. And I think it's already done that with the articles that have come out recently. And that it would establish Dillard as a place of social justice, and the effort that it has put out would show the intent behind it and establish it as a center for social justice and humanity.
I'm always curious about why New Orleanians are so drawn to this fine line between life and death. This is a very interesting city in that regard. Old cities tend to have that characteristic, but New Orleans seems to take it to a whole new level. I think that here people are in conversation, one way or the other, culturally, with their ancestors.
Bringing the remains, at least portions of the remains of these people home, was bringing some degree of balance to the universe. It brings some degree of reciprocity back to the universe. And I truly feel that these people's souls can now rest, knowing that some portion of their anatomy is in a resting place and will be treated with dignity finally.
The ceremony, we're going to ask all of the guests at this time to please take your seats, silence your phones, or put them on vibrate so you all can be seated for the receiving of the individuals at this time.
On behalf of Dillard University, we have been so honored to have been a part of this important work. And for this reason, for as long as I am president of this illustrious institution, I have declared May 31st as Repatriation Day for this community. This is our responsibility to carry on and carry forward, because our ancestors taught us that, and they live through us right now. So I'm honored at this time and at this moment to be a part of history.
19 free black men and women entered Charity Hospital.
Took their last breath not knowing their heads were about to be cut from their limbs.
Great stuff of cranium shipped to Leipzig, Germany.
Another voyage across the Atlantic, passing bones of enslaved Africans on the ocean floor.
From Africa.
To the Caribbean. To the United States of America.
From New Orleans, Louisiana.
To Leipzig, Germany.
From Leipzig, Germany. To New Orleans, Louisiana. Justice carries 19 men and women home.
May they walk freely in the city of God,
in dignity and in honor. Say their names.
There's an interesting kind of parallel between where the world was at that time. And again, this study of eugenics, this real kind of desperate pseudoscientific effort to establish white supremacy, and what's happening today, right? Which there is a clear kind of trajectory of continuity in those efforts. Right? And I think HBCU students ought to understand this.
I think it will impact Dillard's legacy through the students. You are the ones who will carry this legacy on. The experience that you have in being a part of this project, interviewing all of the committee and hearing the stories, being firsthand witness, that you will write the story today. And you, meaning the students who participated today, will tell the story of what they witnessed. And your children will know that story, and future generations will know that story because you will tell that story.
Our young people can't move forward until you understand the magnitude of what occurred in the past. If you can't bring what occurred in the past to the present, then you will find it difficult to prepare for the future. That I have garnered from participating in this project is the fact that there are intellectual and cultural warriors in this city who banded together, who melded together and righted a historic wrong.
I hope people who are filled with hatred will see the love that was given to these 19 individuals. I hope the students will take away the story of the forgotten is not forgotten, and we can always go back and make it right. And know the history and not to repeat the history, but not be afraid to tell the history of what happened today.
So if you want to be part of life, part of the viscera of life, then you have to understand where everyone's coming from, where they've been, where your people have been, and all, and then that makes a better present, and it sure as hell makes a much more interesting future.
Just the opportunity to really elevate and celebrate people who otherwise just were meant to be forgotten. The gift that is, the blessing that is to us here now, to take a moment and say, oh, we see you, Henry Allen, we celebrate you, we call your name, we see that you were here, and we welcome you back to New Orleans, and let your spirit continue to protect us.
So I'm hoping that this spurs people to want to think more deeply about the past and its meanings, to understand that we cannot change the past, but we can do what's right for now, and we can keep the planet turning, meaning making progress. And that I hope that for any group, but particularly for, as we're talking about African descended people, their youth, our youth today, anybody in any age group, I'm hoping that what they do is to say, never again. Those things that we study that might be centuries or decades old, but especially centuries old, we rarely get a chance, and we rarely have the opportunity, I should say more accurately, to see the end. So in studying this, we saw them taken away. And sometimes between 1872 and 1886. And here we are, we see them come back. So as a historian, that's a profound moment, to be able to study something and then see it, something so far back, and then see it come to a fruition. That's a powerful moment as a historian.